In the last video we removed the background from this girl, but you'll notice there is still a white background around the whole image. What if we want to cut her out a bit, but we want to leave a little bit of a border on this time? We don't want just to cut her completely out because it's quite a nice sketch and it's got some nice flowing edges to it. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to select the layer that she's on that we want to trim out. Now because it's annoying, I'm just going to trim it down a little bit, and I'm going to crop it using the select tool, and this is a tool that we're going to be using a little bit later. But I'm just going to use the rectangular marquee tool, select the bit of the image I want, so I actually only want that bit of the image, I don't want anything in the bottom. On that layer, I am going to now invert that selection. At the moment, I can only draw in that selection, so if you see I'm drawing across, I can only draw something in that selection. In the same way, if I hit the delete key, I will delete what's in that selection. And I don't want to delete what's in that selection, I want to delete everything else that's not in that selection. So I'm just going to undo, Ctrl Z to undo that. And I'm going to go to select and inverse. Then this is a little dotted line around the outside and on the inside as well. So now when I draw that black line, you'll see that I can now only draw on the outside area because that is the area that I've now selected. Now I actually don't want anything in the outside area because it includes this bottom bit that I want to get rid of. So by clicking on that layer, I can hit the delete key this time and it'll delete anything within that selection. Once I've finished, once I've done that, I go select, deselect to remove any selection at all. Okay, so that's the first stage. That is using the marquee tool to start deleting things. What we're actually going to be using now is the pen tool to create a new selection. So click on the pen tool, and we're going to zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Now the pen tool is quite hard to use sometimes because it works as a smart object. It creates vector lines. Now a vector line is one that's mathematically formulated, and the curves are again formulated mathematically, not via pixels. Okay, so I've got my pen tool, and I'm going to start down this bottom. I'm going to click one point, click my next point, and then drag. And you see as I drag these drag handles, I start to create a curve. Now, have a play with this. It takes quite a little while to get used to, but you keep clicking and dragging, as we go around the outside of this image. So click, drag, move it around, click and drag. So don't worry too much if we make a mistake. We can fix some mistakes in a minute. But just go nice around this image, and you see I'm leaving, I don't know, about a 10mm border or something around her, just so I can, because I want to keep the delicacy of the sketch in it. So I'm clicking and dragging all the way around the outside. Now to finish this, I'm going to go for my endpoint. I need to use that little circle, so there's a little circle that pops up by the pen tool. I need to finish it by creating a loop, and that is now a loop. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is maybe I want to edit it. Maybe this shoulder bit here is a bit rubbish, and I want to edit it. If I hover over any point here, what you'll see is a little minus tool comes up, and that will remove that point. So if I click on here, it will literally just remove that point, and it will take the curve from the 2 points before using their drag handles. That might be fine. Sometimes I might want to remove points if I've got too many and it's created quite a jaggedy line. The next thing I can do is I can press the Control key on my keyboard while in the pen tool, and you see I get this little white arrow. Now this little white arrowhead means that I can click on a point and I can move it and drag it around. Remember, I'm still holding down Control. This whole time I'm holding down Control on the keyboard. And I can move that point anywhere I like. I can click and I can move another one, and I can click these drag handles and make that curve bigger or smaller. Click and drag. So click and drag to line up and to create the perfect outline. Once we've created the perfect outline, still on the pen tool, we haven't taken ourselves off the pen tool yet, we right click in the middle of it and we go 4 down and we go make selection. What it will ask us when we click make selection is if we want to put a feathered radius on it. Now, because I'm creating quite a crisp line, I don't want to. I want to keep it at 0. So if I hit 0, there'll be no feathered radius. Sometimes you might want a feathered radius. If you were cutting somebody out, like this girl in the background here, and you see her hair is quite wispy at the end, you might want to add a little bit of a feather radius on to create a more natural look and not such a hard line like she's been cut out with scissors. This time we don't want any feather radius, so we're going to click 0. Click OK, and that creates a selection around our girl. Just as before, I'm on this layer, and if I go to the pen tool now, for example, and I start drawing, I can only draw in that selection because that's the only thing that is selected. Control Z to undo that. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. So what I want to do, exactly the same as before when I made my previous selection, is I want to go select, inverse, and you can see now it's selected the outside, and if I draw I can only go onto the outside. And I want to hit delete. Now hitting this delete key means that it gets rid of all the background except that little outline that I've created. I can go onto select, deselect all, go back onto my mouse and move her around to place on my image that I want. So she pops out of the image now because of the way I've created that. So I hope that's helpful.